Today, I'm going to show you how you can track product page views using Shopify's web pixel extensions and Gadget. Hey y'all, today I'm going to show you how you can integrate Shopify's web pixel extensions with your app when you're building with Gadget. I build a bit of a silly example. I'm just tracking product page clicks, relating them to products in my Gadget database, and then displaying that in a little data table in the embedded admin for merchants so they can see what their most popular products are or most viewed products are. Shopify does have a ton of configuration options for web pixel extensions, so I do encourage you to go check out the documentation to see what kind of data you have access to. I have left the link in the video description. This video also shows off two other little Gadget concepts. We use a computed field to show the total count, and we use live queries to live update the counts in the embedded admin. Once again, bit of a silly use case. You maybe don't need live updates so that your number is increasing while the merchant has this table open, but it's a neat little tidbit I throw in at the end. With all that said, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, I'm gonna get started building my product page web pixel tracking application. I'm gonna use Gadget, so I'm here on the Gadget dev website. I'm just going to change this Gadget new because I'm already signed in. This is going to bring me to my app type selection screen. So I'm just going to stick with Shopify, click next, and give my app a domain name. I will call this product page pixel. It would be nice if I could get another P so alliteration works. Maybe we'll just make this product page web pixels though. Excellent. I press enter. This creates my new Gadget app. So I do get a full stack app when I build with Gadget. It's going to be hosted and scaled for me automatically. And this is going to include a Postgres database, Node.js backend, and React frontend built on top of Vite. And my entire stack is going to be serverless. I'm going to start by connecting to Shopify. So I do want an embedded front end. I'm going to build a little data table so that merchants can see what is the most popular product page. I also want my app extension here. I'm going to use the web pixel extension, so I'm going to connect through the partners dashboard. Just open it up here. I already have my documentation pages just for building web pixels and setting up app extensions in Gadget, so we will refer to those in a bit. You can see I may have built a couple pixel apps recently to test this out. Well, let's create a new app and create an app manually. Once again, I will call this product page web pixels and create my new app. And now I'm going to copy my ID and secret back to Gadget. And I'll press continue. On this page, I'm going to select what API scopes and data models I want to include in my app. So to start, I need my pixel scope. I need customer events. Yep, right there. I was looking for it, wasn't seeing it. It is right there. And then I also want to be able to read product data. So what I'm going to do is associate a pixel event with a product in my Gadget database and use that to display information in my embedded admin. So I just need to be able to read products. I don't need write access. And I just need the product data model. And as I go ahead and select scopes and data models, Gadget's going to do a couple things for me. First off, it's going to handle webhook registration. So you can see when I selected my product data model, I am going to be registered to my product create, update, and delete webhooks, which means anytime a new product is added in Shopify or updated or deleted, webhook will be triggered. Those changes will be persisted to Gadget automatically. I don't have to do anything. It's also going to handle API scope registration, so that is great. I can see the ones I've selected down here. And I get these data models. Product is my only custom one, and shop and GDPR we're going to add for you every time you connect to Shopify. I'm happy with this, so I will go ahead and press confirm. And I'll copy this app URL and redirection URL back to my partner's app. So I can just go to the configuration page and paste these in. Press save and release, and I'm good to install my app on my development store. So I don't have to write any code. Gadget's going to handle Shopify's OAuth for me. I will select checkout branding testing. Usually I choose test with sample data. Let's mix it up a little bit for this video. Get wild. I'm okay to install. This is just telling merchants what scopes, what data that my application needs. I'm happy with that because I just selected and set it up in the connection screen. And here we go. My app is now installed on my development store. This is actually a React front end. You can see this page is powered by route/index.jsx. I'm going to write a new admin page in a little bit, not right now. Go back to Gadget. We're successfully connected. I'm actually going to run a data sync right away. So I can pull in all of my historical product data so that it's in my Gadget database and ready to be used. I'm going to do that off the top. Just click on installs. I can see scope access is granted, webhooks are registered, and I can just go ahead and press sync. And this will pull in all of my product data. And I'll be able to see that in Gadget. So that's perfect. It's complete. If I check out my Shopify product data model, I can see the schema. These are all the fields available on the product resource. And if I peek in data, this is all of my data. So you see I have some snowboard data. It appears I have a couple custom products, including a shirt with a weird description, but that's okay. Test data, right? It's a development store. Excellent. So that is the connection setup piece. Next thing I'm going to do is add a custom data model. I want somewhere to store my pixel information. So I can just go ahead and add a product pixel model. What this does is this creates a new table in the underlying Postgres database. I get some default fields, which are like columns in my table, updated at, created at ID. I want to go ahead and add some custom fields to this. So I'm going to add name. This will be the name of the pixel event. So this is going to be a little contrived because for this build, I'm just going to be subscribing to a single pixel event. So name will be the same for all of my records. But for more interesting apps, it can be useful to capture that event name. I'm also going to add two relationships. So I'm going to relate this pixel model to a product and then to my shop. So I'm going to go ahead, add product first. I'm going to change my field type to a belongs to relationship, and I'll select my Shopify product model. And then my Shopify product can have multiple pixels. It's important that you select has many there because we want to be able to count and collect and see how many product pixels or how many pixels each product has so we can display a count. Then I'll create another field shop, and I will just relate this to my Shopify shop model. And once again, Shopify shop has many pixels. So that's fantastic. That is my product pixel data model. When we create our model, we also created a CRUD API automatically, or Gadget generated a CRUD API. That's create, read, update, and delete actions. And you can see I have my create here. I don't actually need to go ahead and change any of this code. I'm just going to leave it as is. But we will need to call this API to create pixels. So you can see I get a little code sample up there. That's almost exactly what we're going to be writing in an HTTP route in a little bit. So I did mention we do want to calculate the counts of pixels. So because I'm relating my product pixel records to my Shopify product data model, I can actually go into my product data model and add a pixel count field. And I just want this to display a count. And Gadget has built-in computed fields that are great for this use case. So I'm going to go ahead and select computed. This gives me a Jelly file that I can use to power this field. So I'll just pop this open. So just as a quick primer on Jelly, it's a superset of GraphQL and it's Gadget's data access language. It's really good for doing simple little aggregations or modifications to data. And in this case, I can just go count product pixels. And because product pixels is a field here on my Shopify product data model, when I take a peek, this is just going to generate the count of all of the relationships, which will be the number of views of my individual product pages. So this is great. Jelly's going to handle things like caching for me. It's only going to be recomputed when it needs to be. So it's a really efficient way to kind of pull in this data instead of manually aggregating or tracking data, modifying a count in my database or something like that. We're going to add one more custom field to our app, and that's on the Shopify shop model. When I create a web pixel, I'm going to give it an account ID. So I'm just going to register this account ID on my Shopify shop. So I can just go pixel account ID, and I'm just going to leave this as a string for now. Now there's going to be a little bit of a roundabout way. I'm going to go through Shopify's build a web pixel tutorial, which actually has us manually generate that ID. And at the very end of this tutorial, I'm going to add some custom code, install this app on another development store, and we'll automate that process just as a little hint for when you're actually building a real app. So that's fantastic. That's all the data modeling I need to do. Now I need to add an HTTP route that is going to be the entry point for web pixel events. So in my pixel extension, I have the ability to use the built-in fetch, and I need an HTTP route to actually call. We could use a GraphQL mutation, but I think a route is just a bit of an easier way to manage this. So in my API folder, I'm going to create a new folder, call it routes. It's created down here at the bottom. I'm actually going to go ahead and create pixels/post product viewed.js. So what this will do is create a product viewed route. So at my Gadget app URL, I will get a /pixels/product viewed route that I can then call from my extension. And I'm just going to paste in some code here. There we go. So all we're going to do, we're going to call this route from my pixel extension in a little bit. I'm just going to parse the body of the request, get some data from that body. I am going to go ahead and query for a shop. So you see we have this API client that allows me to call my Gadget apps API. And I'm just finding my first Shopify shop where the pixel account ID is equal to the account passed in with my request. And I'm just grabbing the ID field for my shop. And this is just so I can relate a incoming pixel to a shop that I have installed my app on. I'm using Gadget's built-in logger to log this information. And then if that shop is found, I'm going ahead and calling that api.productPixel.create. I'm passing in the body.name. That's going to be the name of my pixel event. And I will link it to a product. Once again, I'm passing in the product ID and then the shop ID I just queried for. So once again, if I just go back to my product pixel create event, take a peek at this doc sample, that's pretty much what we have right there. So that's my HTTP route. That's great. I do need to handle cores. So I'm going to go ahead, open the Gadget command palette and go yarn add fastify cores. Gadget, like I mentioned, it's a node project. There is a package.json file, so you can install any npm packages that you're used to using when building. This Fastify extension, because Gadget's backend is built on top of Fastify, will just let me handle cores in my routes. So I'm going to now add, now that this has installed properly, you can actually view it in our package.json. There it is. Perfect. I can add a file in my routes pixels folder. I'll just go plus scope.js. And I am just going to go ahead, once again, copy paste some code. Not a lot of changes here. I'm importing cores. It's a package, registering it on my server. I'm just allowing cores requests from anywhere. Ultimately, you probably want to try and limit this down a little bit, but this is just easier for demo purposes. It's very easy if you're building a custom app because you can just put your store domain there, but this will allow requests from anywhere. Maybe that's okay for your use case. Fantastic. So this is my backend now. So I've actually finished my database and backend layer. Now I need to go ahead and build out my web pixel extension. I need to start getting some data here in my Gadget database. To build extensions in Gadget, I need to go ahead and add another dependency. I'm going to add as a dev dependency, and that is the Shopify CLI package. And this one can take a little while to install. So while it's installing, I will just flip to our documentation. We do have under plugins, Shopify, building Shopify extensions. All of these steps are here to follow. If you get a little lost in the video, it's all typed out, tells you how to set up an extension. I'm just going to go through this now. So I will create an empty shopify.app.toml file at my project root here. I'm also going to go ahead and create a .ignore file, and inside I'm going to go extensions dist, and this is because I'm going to use Gadget CLI tool GGT to pull down my project locally and generate my extensions, and I don't want my built extensions to be synced back up to my hosted Gadget. So this .ignore file will just, it works the same as gitignore. but it'll ignore things from being synced locally up to my hosted Gadget project. So that's all I'm adding there. Finally, I do need to go ahead and modify my package.json. I'm just going to copy these, add a little workspaces definition and a trusted dependency. Perfect. Now I'm good to start building my extension. I'll pull down my project locally first. So I can click on this little cloud icon. I get a GGT command. I will just copy it. And then I'm going to pop open my new command window here. Just bring it over, make it a bit bigger. And I will go here, paste the command. So what this is going to do, it's just an npx command. It's going to run ggt dev, which is the command that actually syncs your hosted Gadget project to your local environment. This is going to be the directory it's synced to locally. I pass it my app name and my environment. Press enter, this will run. I've already logged into GGT. If you haven't done that, you'll have to log in with your Gadget credentials first. So this looks good. I can pop open a new tab here and then product page web pixels, and open my project in VS Code. Make this one a little bigger too. And let's drag this on over. There we go. Here's my project in VS Code. So you see I have my API folder. I've got my custom routes here. I have all of my models. So I'm good to start building. By the way, web is my embedded front end folder. I mentioned there's that index.jsx that's powering that page. That's where that is. We're going to get to that in a bit. Next thing I'm going to do is actually build my extension. And by that, I mean generate our extension. So I can go yarn Shopify app generate extension. Because I installed that Shopify CLI package as a dependency, I could run Shopify CLI commands here. So I'm going to select my partner organization. I do want to connect it to an existing app. That's very important. I don't want to create a new app. Otherwise, this extension won't be associated with my Gadget project. And we have product page web pixels. Let's go ahead and pick that one. And now I can pick my extension type, web pixel. I'll just keep the name web pixel, and TypeScript sounds good to me. So you can see as that was generated, we now have this extensions folder here in my project. There is a TOML file. I'm not actually going to make any changes to this TOML file. You can check out Shopify's documentation for all of the available fields. The important thing here is that there is this input being defined as an account ID. So that's what I created, the new field on my Shopify Shop data model. It's going to be the same account ID, and I'm going to generate that using a GraphQL query. And there's index.ts, and this is my actual extension code. So you can see I'm getting all this right from Shopify. We need to go ahead and register our pixel. And then I'm just using the analytics object to subscribe to an event, and I'm going to do some stuff. So let's go ahead and copy code over. Here we go. So the general structure is still the same. I'm not actually using this browser piece here. You can retrieve or set tracking cookies if you want. I'm not doing that. All I'm doing is I'm subscribing to a product viewed event. So whenever someone views a product page, it'll trigger that event, and I want to capture that. I'm getting the product ID from this event. So naturally it surfaces the product variant, but it's okay. I can get the product ID. You can also track what variant people are looking at if that's something you're interested in. I'm getting that account ID that I'm passing in through the settings object up here on the register function. And then I am just passing in the event name. Once again, that's just going to be product viewed, and the product ID. Don't need to do it like that. There we go. A little simpler. I do have a console log statement here. This is just for development. And so when I'm in the storefront, I can actually check and make sure my pixel is firing. And finally, there is a built-in fetch I can use. I want to update this to use my Gadget slug. So my app name is product page web pixels, and it'll be for my development environment for now. And once again, this is my pixels product viewed route. It's going to be a post. I'm just going to stringify this payload up here. It's pretty simple. And I want to set keep alive to true. And keep alive just allows this request to exist beyond the scope of this page. We just want to make sure that this request actually completes and reliably delivers this payload to our Gadget backend. So that's all we need to do. That's a pretty simple pixel. The code here isn't very complex. We can just flip back over to our command palette. I'm going to do a couple things here. First, I'm going to go yarn Shopify app deploy. So this will actually deploy my extension to my partner's app. I'm going to select yes, include my app toml settings. That's actually my root level toml file. I haven't modified it at all. Remember, I created it as an empty thing. When I generated my extension, Shopify added some default information, but I'm not going to touch it again. And it created my extension on my app. So that's fantastic. And then I'm going to go yarn Shopify app dev. And this will actually start up the dev server for my extension. And the reason I need to do this is, let's go the same store I installed my app on, check out branding testing. The reason I'm starting this dev server is because I do need to fire that GraphQL request to actually go ahead and connect my pixel extension. So let's flip back to my store here. If I go to settings and I go into customer events, there it is. So I can see my pixel is here, product page web pixels, but it's disconnected. So I actually need to fire off a GraphQL mutation to go ahead and connect my pixel to my store. And all I've been working through is the Shopify documentation. The link is in the video description. I've created my pixel extension. I have defined it in the toml. I didn't actually change the toml, but that's okay. I have subscribed to the events I want to subscribe to. I have handled app access scopes with Gadget. And then you see it deploys app dev. And then the next piece here is activate a web pixel extension. This is the GraphQL mutation I need to run. So I'm going to copy this. Now, when I started this dev server, I do get graphical here, an instance. So I can just press G and this pops this open. You can see I may have been testing it before. The mutation is already populated. This is the mutation I want to run. When I go ahead and run this, I see that it did go ahead and create this pixel. There's no errors. I created it with the settings, account ID 123, and I get this GID. I'm just going to leave this alone for now. In a little bit, because when you install this on stores, you don't want to have to manually run this. I am going to add some custom code to run this in Gadget as soon as you install your app on a store. But because it's just the development cycle, we're not going to do that quite yet. So I'm happy with this. This should have created my web pixel. If I go back to my page, give it a refresh here, my customer events, I see my pixel is connected. That's awesome. So we are good to go ahead and test out our pixel in our dev store. I'm just going to go ahead and close this. I'm going to pop open my online store. Now I find sometimes like I should see something here in my browser console when I go to a product page. I'm not actually seeing that console.log statement. It seems like Pixel sometimes you need to give them a bit of a kick in the pants. I find that actually just popping my store open in an incognito window, logging in, and then you see I have this object and that is my pixel running now. So if it's not running automatically, I'm sure I'm just missing a little step somewhere. I did kind of dig through Shopify's documentation, but I do find logging into my store in an incognito window, I get my pixel account. This is just that console.log statement we have here that's printing our pixel payload. And I should be sending this to my Gadget backend. So that's just a little workaround. If you're getting stuck building pixels, just try it in another little window here. So let's just go back to my main window. Now I am sending my pixel events to Gadget here. If I check my data, it's empty. And that's because of some of the custom code we had. So remember, we are calling this product viewed route, and I am trying to grab the shop, and I'm only actually saving my pixels if a shop is found. And this shop, this query here, is actually filtering on the pixel account ID. So my current Shopify shop record does not have, if I find my pixel account ID, pixel account ID is null. Once again, we're going to automate this in a little bit, but the test data I used in my GraphQL mutation was 123, so I can actually just edit inline here. press save, and we're good to go. So now if I flip back to my incognito window, let's go to a different product. Ooh, look at this fancy doggy raincoat. So this should fire a pixel event, and it should actually go ahead and save it because now it can find that store because the pixel account ID is registered here in Gadget. There may also be a way, I will just note this, I didn't do it here, but this pixel account ID, when you create it in Shopify, I believe it is just saved as a meta field. So there may be a way to actually just pull in this pixel account ID automatically from Shopify by subscribing to a meta field. Maybe something to look into. I'm not going to cover it in this video though. So that's great. So I'm actually getting my pixel data, what products people are viewing. Here in my database, I just need to build a front end that actually displays that, something a merchant can look at to see what their most popular products are. For product information, it can also be like capturing the price might also be something you want to look at. There are lots of different use cases for it. I'm not going to go into it, but price is interesting because what price point drives the most views where you're still making a profit is potentially interesting. So I can either build here in the Gadget editor or I can flip back to VS Code. I am just going to build my front end. So if I go to web, routes, index, I'm just going to paste some default code. So front ends in Gadget, we do use Polaris by default. We install it for you. You'll notice in the web folder, we also have an API client set up. And this is unique client to your project. And that's what I'm using here in my index route, importing my client, using Polaris. I can use plain old React state. This is just a React app. And then we have useful hooks for interacting with your Gadget API in a more Reactful way. So you can see instead of going api.shopifyproduct.findMany, I'm using this useFindMany hook to go ahead and grab my product data. And I am just going ahead and grabbing the title and the pixel count fields. Remember, that's my computed field. This is fantastic. So what this is going to do is grab my product, grab the count, and then I just need to display this in a table, really. There's a bit of state that I am just going to use to power my data table. I am just using a Polaris data table component, and rows are just the rows in that table. And I've got a useEffect hook that is triggered by changes in data. If data exists, I'm just going ahead, I'm filtering it. So I'm going to filter out any products that don't have any pixel counts, so my least popular. Maybe that's not something you want to do. Maybe you actually want to display a 0. That could actually be useful information. I'm filtering it out for now, just so it displays a little easier. I am doing a manual sort up front. That's a little ugly because I also have this sort data function here that I'm calling as part of my data table component, but this works for now as just an initial way to set my data state. And then I'm mapping over that collection just so that I get a tuple of my product title and pixel count and setting that to my state. This state, I'm just passing in. It's a normal old Polaris data table. When I use these hooks in React, I do get data fetching and error. I'm not actually using the error object here. I probably should be showing an error banner. Fetching is a Boolean I can use to show a loading state. So you can see I'm using this to display a spinner down here. And data is my actual return data. So that is my product data. You can see it is fully typed, and it's even typed based on what I have in my select query, which is pretty groovy. So it knows it's only selecting these fields. All of the rest of the product data it can ignore. So that's nice. This should work, I believe. So let's test it out. If I go back to my store, let's find my app, product page web pixels. It'll take a little bit to load here, but I should see my embedded app, and it should just be a data table with my single pixel for, I believe, my rain boots up here. And you can see there's that loading spinner. It is, it seems like something's going a little slow. My home internet might be struggling a little bit, but I do get that raincoat here. And so if I go ahead and generate other pixels, let's look at the rain. It was my incognito store I was doing. So let's do some random products here. Got raincoat, hydrogen, rain boots. Let's go between rain boots and raincoat. Get these numbers up. So these should all be generating pixel events when I view these pages. Let's do another random one. Liquid, complete snowboard. And if I flip back to my app here and refresh, we should see the latest values. Now, Refreshing, maybe that's okay depending on your use case. We see that we do have higher event counts now. I can actually make this update in real time if I want, and I can use live queries to do that. All I need to do is, this is my front end here. Once again, this is the Gadget editor, not VS Code. When I am actually reading my product data, I can just go live true. And that enables real-time queries. So I no longer need to refresh this page to get up-to-date event counts. So if I flip back here, and let's start viewing some pages. Let's go rain boots, raincoat, complete snowboard. If I flip back to my app, I should see that these numbers are actually going to increase automatically without me having to refresh. So you can see raincoat is going up. It just flipped up to 5. So that's live queries. It's working through an open WebSocket. And whenever something changes in my data table that is relevant to this query, most notably my event count, it'll go ahead and push that data to my front end. So let's go ahead and visit this liquid snowboard maybe because it has 1. This will be just a little more measured way. So if I click on this, it'll fire that event pixel. Let's close this page, flip back. You can see liquid is now at 2. I didn't have to refresh the page. So that's how we can use live queries to give a live updating dashboard for most popular pages. Maybe you don't need that. Maybe it's okay to just get a static snapshot, but I figured I'd call it out. It's kind of neat. So that is our end-to-end app build using web pixels. It's just a little basic implementation. I'm not capturing a ton of interesting information in this product pixel database. You might want to expand this to capture other things, like I mentioned before, product price, so you can get the price and how many people are viewing at certain prices. You can get variant information. There's a whole whack of events that you can actually store and display in an admin, depending on what your needs are. I am going to show you how we can go ahead and handle that GraphQL query, the data sync, and kind of the pixel setup steps when you install your app on a new store. So I'm actually just going to go ahead and make an edit to my Shopify Shop install action. I'll paste in some code here. And so you can see my run is the same. I am importing crypto from a crypto package built into Node just to generate a UUID. So that's what I'm going to use as the ID for my pixel event. You can see we have our mutation here. This is that web pixel create. So before we were just passing in that 1, 2, 3 through that dev console. I'm not going to be doing that now. Instead, I'm going to fire this mutation when I successfully install my app on a store. I'm just going to log the response. Right here, I am going ahead and calling my internal API to update the pixel account ID value, the same UUID, on my Shopify Shop data model. And then I am just kicking off a data sync automatically. And this will all happen when I install on a store. So if I just go, let's go back to my partner's account here and close that store up. Go to the same app, product page web pixels, and let's select a different store here. Let's go many more variants. And so when I install, it should go ahead, run this action for me, fire that mutation. It should connect my web pixel, and it should be ready to collect events right away. So if I check my Shopify Shop data model, I see many more variants. That's my store. When I scroll over, pixel count ID, there we go. That is my generated UUID. If I go back to my app here, it's ready to go. There's no data yet because I haven't actually clicked on any of my store pages. If I check in settings, customer events, I can see my pixel is connected. And if I pop open my online store, and let's leave this app visible. Let's start clicking on products. We should start generating these pixel events. We got liquid, multi-location. Let's go liquid, compare at, multi-location, get a bit more liquid in here. And as I'm going, my event count is going up. I'm capturing these pixel events. My table is being sorted, and I am good to go. So that is an end-to-end web pixel build with Gadget. If you have any questions about anything I built here today, you can go ahead, check out our developer documentation. There are going to be some links in the video description. Go ahead and check out Shopify's web pixel tutorial. There will also be a link down there. And as always, go ahead, jump in Gadget's developer Discord and ask us any questions you might have. Until next time, I hope you keep building more and coding less with Gadget.